everyone, and welcome to Tammy's Yarn House. Today's tutorial is how to make the X stitch or the cross stitch, and really what that means is this row of double crochets we have crossed over each other. This is an easy 2-row repeat, and you have our row of crosses along with our row of single crochet in between. Now I have put a little bit more of a border on this one. I could do a separate video and show you this border that I put on this blanket, but this blanket works just fine with a single crochet border and a little tiny picot on top of that. I can show you that at the end also. This is a wonderful baby blanket. It works great for the summertime, has the holes for ventilation so the baby doesn't get too hot, but it's also wonderful and cuddly to keep the baby warm at the same time. I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but it's true. For this blanket I used Caron 1 pound, and I believe the color was Honeybee. The color of this one was Honeybee. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, for this project you will need your yarn, of course. For today's tutorial I am using a Loops and Threads Impeccable, and this color is Butterscotch. That looks like a yummy color. You will also need a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook, or that is a K 6.5 millimeter crochet hook, a pair of scissors, a couple of stitch markers if you need them, and a tapestry needle for weaving in our ends when we're done with our project. Okay, we're going to start off by putting a slip knot on our hook. You can choose whatever method is comfortable for you. Right, this pattern is worked in an odd number of chains. Now it does not matter how many you want to do. You can make this project as small or as large as you want to. Just make sure that you start off with an odd number of chains. For today's tutorial we are going to chain up 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. Okay, we're going to do a single crochet in each of our chains to the end, and we're going to start in the second chain from the hook. Okay, I prefer to go into these back bumps because it gives my edge on my finished product a little cleaner, a little neater, and when I want to go to put a border in it, my V-stitches are prominent. They're there. I don't have to hunt for a stitch or invent some. All right, so here we go. Single crochet into the second chain from the hook. And we're going to single crochet all the way down. When you get to the end, join me and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, we have our row of single crochets. Now what we're going to do is start to build our X's, or what we call the crisscross. We are going to chain 3 and turn our work. 1, 2, 3, and turn our work. Now we are not going to work in this first stitch. It belongs to this turning chain always. On your crisscross row, when you chain up, this first stitch will always belong to this turning chain. Okay, we are going to skip the first one and we are going to work a double crochet into this second, or which could be considered the third, because that's your first, your second, and your third. The important thing is we're going to skip this one, we're going to go into this one. All right, so let's work a double crochet into this stitch. Now we have to go back and work into this. And what you want to do is yarn over and take your hook and go into the back. Let's do that again. We're going to go into and pick up that stitch that we skipped and work a double crochet into that. Now it'll seem a little fiddly at first until you get the hang of it, but trust me, after a good row or two of this, you're going to be a pro. Okay? We're going to skip one and work into the next one. Double crochet, double crochet, Tammy, double crochet. Okay? Now we have to go back and pick up this one that we skipped. And let's go from behind and pick that up and work our double crochet. Let's do that again. Skip one, go into the next one, double crochet, and we're going to work a double crochet into our skipped stitch. So go in from behind, pick that up, and work our double crochet. And you see our crosses are starting to take form. Skip this, work into the next one, double crochet, go back in and pick up this skipped, go in from behind, pick that up, work our double crochet, and let's keep going. Skip, work a double crochet in this one, go back in, get our skipped stitch, see how we did that? And work our double crochet in there. And this is our last cross for this row. Go back in, get our skipped. I'm going to slow this down for you a little bit so you can see. We're going to go in from behind and pick that up. We are going to put a double crochet into this last stitch. Double crochet. Okay. There is our first row of crosses. Now we're going to chain one and turn our work. Okay, we are going to single crochet in each one of these stitches going across. We're going to start in this first one. Now, here's what I want you to pay attention to. Single crochet in each one of these crosses. Now, sometimes it can get a little confusing at the top, but make sure that you're putting one single crochet in each of these double crochets. That way your count will stay correct. The last thing you want to do is get off count, because then your pattern is not going to be right. Okay, so single crochet in the top of each one of these doubles, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, here we are at the end, and this was our chain space, our chain 3 space, and you see how it can look a little jumbled. We have to put a single crochet right here in the top of this chain space. We cannot forget about this chain space. We will always put a single crochet in the top of this chain space, and y'all know by now getting into the chain space can always be a little tricky, and sometimes I'll go in through the bottom, you see that, to get in there. Single crochet. There we have our row of single crochet, our row of crisscrosses, and a row of single crochet at the top. So we're going to go ahead and do our second row of crisscrosses, and I'm going to use a stitch marker for this chain 3 space because it can be difficult, as you see, working into a chain space, and stitch markers kind of help us out a little bit with that. All right, so we are going to chain up 3, 1, 2, 3, and we're going to turn our work. And because we're going to have to come back and work into that chain space, I'm going to put a stitch marker in that. That'll help us on our way back when we have to work on that. Okay, now remember, we are not working in this first stitch because it belongs to this post. We're going to skip this one and we're going to work a double crochet in the next. And then we're going to come back and pick up this one that we skipped with a double crochet. And you go in from behind, pick that stitch up, and there's our first cross. Okay, we're going to skip this, work into our next one with a double crochet, go back, pick up the one that we missed, and we'll go in from behind. And once you've done this for a little while, you will get the hang of it. Skip a stitch, work into the next one, double crochet, and let's go back and pick this one up, yarn over, go in from behind, pick that up, and work our double crochet in there. Skip the next one, going to go back in, we'll see that one more time, go behind and pick that up, and that makes our crisscross, that makes our X's. Okay, I'll finish this row out with you since I'm already here at the end. Skip one, go into the next, and we're going to go back and pick up and go in from behind and pick up that stitch. And we should have, and when you get to the end with your next, we should have an odd number. So you've got these two that you're going to make your next X in, and you should always have only one stitch left over. And that's how you know your count is right. If you have something different, you got to find out where that mistake is and go get it and go fix it. So this is a project to be mindful of your counts. And we're going to double crochet in this final stitch. Chain one, turn our work, and remember we are going to put a single crochet in that first, and we will single crochet all the way to the end. And we're single crocheting in the tops of these double crochets. That's what we want to make sure we're doing. That's what's going to help keep our stitch count correct, is making sure that you are single crocheting into the top of your double crochet from the row below. And the stitch marker always helps me. I don't know about y'all, but they always help me. And see that chain space? And I like these little stitch markers. They I don't have to take my hands off my work. I can just slip that right out. There is my top of my chain from below. So how much easier that was. Single crochet. Okay, that is how you make the crisscross stitch, or what we call the X stitch. And I will be back. I'll show you how to put a simple border on this. I'm going to do one more row so that you can see the border really well, and I'll be back. Okay, here we are at the end. We have placed a single crochet all the way across. We're back at our chain space, and now we're going to start a very simple border. And since we're already in this corner chain space, we're not going to turn our work. We're just going to continue to work around. Okay, and because this is a corner, we already have one single crochet in here. We're going to add 2 more single crochets to the same exact space, and that makes your corner 3 crochets into each space. And I'll tell you, on the sides of your project, you just want to almost guesstimate how many stitches go in. Play around with it. Make sure it's not too tight. Make sure it's not lumpy. In double crochet chains like this, I like to put 2 stitches, and in our single crochet row, 1 stitch. And that usually works well for me. Try not to go into these large gaps. It'll just make it look bigger, and it just won't look right. Try to go into the actual stitch. This is a double crochet stitch, so I'm going to put 2 single crochets into this. Here is our single crochet. We're going to put 1 single crochet into that one, and we'll do 2 into this one, and 1 into our single crochet row. And here is another double crochet, 2 into this one. And that usually works well for me. You know, check it out. Make sure that it's not too lumpy or it's not too tight. We're here at our end corner, and remember, 3 single crochets to make our corner. And now we're upside down. And this is our tail, and you can weave in your tail, just crochet it in. Now remember at the beginning when I told you that if you work in the back bumps of your project and you needed to put a border on something, your stitches will be clearly defined. Look at that, there they are. We don't have to invent or hunt and peck. We can just go straight into them. Hold your tail next to your project and just crochet it in. Here is our first, and we will crochet all the way down the line. And this way you don't have to weave in your tail at the end. Let me get some yarn. It will be crocheted into your project. And I always like to do that when I can. Okay, keep doing this all the way. I'll meet you at the corner. Okay, we are back at our corner. So we are going to put 3 double crochet or 3 single crochet stitches into this corner. Turn our work, and we can start making our single crochets down the line. Okay, here we are at our next corner, and we're going to do 3 single crochets into this corner and a single crochet right back to where we started. And do this all the way down, and I'll meet you right when we started our first corner. Single crochet into all these stitches. I'll meet you at the end. Okay, let me show you something. We are at the end. We have made our corner, single crochets, corner, single crochets, corner, single crochets. You see, we're where we started in the beginning. We've got one more single crochet to do, and I'll show you how to finish off this. We're going to slip stitch in that first stitch that we put in our corner. Okay. Now the small little picot edging, what that is a single crochet, a chain 1, and a single crochet. So we are going to single crochet in our next stitch, chain 1, and we're going to go back in with a single crochet, and you're going to skip 1 and go to your next one, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, skip a stitch into our next, and you just do this all the way around. Do your single crochet, chain 1, single crochet all into the same stitch, and that will give us a little bit of a design. Skip 1, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet. And it doesn't matter with the corner, just do this all the way around, and I'll meet you at the end. Okay, we are at the end of our border. We have one more to go. We're going to skip this one. We're going to work our little picot border into this, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, and we will slip stitch into our next stitch. And that is the end of our border. Let's cut our yarn. And we'll take our tapestry needle. We'll weave in our spaces, but first, let's pull this yarn through, tighten it down, and we're going to weave in this end. Now you want to go back and forth at least 3 times in between your stuff. Okay, so we're going to weave it in. Don't have to go too far. And we're going to go back make sure it's not too tight, and we'll go back through for a 3rd time. And when you do that, it's not really going anywhere. It's not going to come out. And we can cut that off. And there is our crisscross, or our X stitch, with a little picot border. There you are. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of all my new videos.